Here, sir was working as vice principal, HOD, and HR manager at Mount Zion College of Engineering from June 2010 to March 2024. And sir also worked at NIT Tiruchirappalli from August 2013 to July 2016 as temporary faculty in production engineering department. And sir has done his PhD in production engineering from National Institute of Technology, Tiruchirappalli, and MTech sir has done from Anna University, and sir has vast experience, particularly working in Mugambi Engineering College, MSNK Engineering College, Sudarshan Engineering College, and National Institute of Tiruchirappalli. So, sir, as to his credit, two patents which is granted, and he is having more than 25 journal papers to his credit, and he is having quite a lot of experience in Google BigQuery, SQL, machine learning, data visualization, JMP, MCDM techniques, technical writing using machine learning, programming skills using FANUC series CNC programming, and robot programming using 5-axis core base and IntelliTech robot. And also, sir is having vast experience, particularly in research, especially using machine learning techniques in healthcare management, supply chain management with Google BigQuery, SQL, Python, and statistical tools like JMP, including MCDM techniques. And sir is also an NBA accreditation team member and is having rich experience gained from various higher order responsibilities, including HOD, which has enabled success during the Washington Accord, and his visit to NIT Tiruchi for the NBA accreditation. And also, he is having vast experience in the domain of teaching using demonstration approach to students. So, on this occasion, I welcome you, sir, and I take this privilege to welcome all the participants to this August technical session. I hope you will enjoy this session and learn meaningful insights into prompt query and paradox for programming for engineering excellence. So, thank you very much. Have a nice evening. Sir, is it audible, sir? Sir, you are not audible.
We are unable to take it honestly. Uh, Dignitaries, guests, professors, students, good evening, one and all. First and foremost, I thank the think tanks, organizers, and enablers of International House of Education and welcome the participants for the Spark series, Prompting, Paradox, and Programming for Excellence in Engineering. May I have the provision for screen sharing, please? Hello. May I proceed? Is the screen visible to all? Excuse me. Is the screen visible? Okay. May I proceed? That's programming for engineering excellence. Any idea of what the screen shows? Any idea of what the screen shows? I'll give a clue. You know the famous saying? Do you remember who it was told by whom? Yes, some of you might have guessed it right. It's none other than the former President Abraham Lincoln. So he holds a patent even 150 years back. So it seems it is easy to patent, it's easy to get a Nobel Prize than a patent. So why I am telling this quote here? So the tools has to be in proper shape when something has to be done. And when it comes to patent, it is something considered as a cup of tea in countries like China. And here are some four best friends humans have ever had from left to right. Some decades ago, some 30 years back, Excel was considered the best friend. Then came Google. It was considered to be equivalent to one person sitting next to us, giving so much of information. And then came another person, number three. And now we have this AI to support us. Any guess about who is number three? At least in my intuition. Any guess who is number three? It is, in my intuition, I would rather say it is Stack Overflow. I don't know how many of you would be knowing Stack Overflow. I'm just getting back to the previous slide. In the year 2018, I had been to IIT Bombay for a course designed for both engineers and physicians, I mean the doctors, both put together. They were made a team. And there was a Harvard professor who flew all the way from US. He said, see, I came all the way from US to tell you one thing, he said. We were eager, very eager and keen listening to his words. He said this one thing, to learn any subject, above earth, below sky, any subject, all you need is one computer, one internet. That's it. So I flew all the way to sell this idea to you. That is what he told to us. We were really baffled why he told like that. So he said, your ideas should be the way you work, the software should crash. You should frequently go to the hardware store to repair your computer. That is how you have to play with the software and the hardware. That is what his words were. So from Excel to Google and to Stack Overflow, now we have so much of support from AI. So we can do wonders. So previously Google was considered as one person, but in Stack Overflow, you ask one question, there are so many people who will help you pull out of the trouble. You can ask any questions. It may be Python, Java, it can be even a drafting or modeling software in mechanical engineering, be it anything, some software related. There are so many people out there, volunteers. We don't know who they are. And eventually, we ourselves become experts and we start giving some answers. So that is how the people evolve. Once we are the seekers, then we evolve into solution providers. Okay. Even in such a community, even in a community like Stack Overflow, if you ask a wrong question, there will be no answer. On the face, they'll slash the question is wrong. So wrong question, no answer. Always have this in your mind. It can be applied anywhere, everywhere. Then now comes a topic prompting. So this is applied across all disciplines. I am a mechanical engineer. I do prompt, and there are apps where you do prompting and you get a 3D model. For example, I would say, I want a car steering wheel in a radius of so and so 1 inch thickness, sort of prompting I give, I get a steering wheel design, beautifully made. You can't even imagine. So prompting is there across all disciplines. I mean, different engineering programs. Mechanical engineer can prompt, a civil engineer can prompt, computer science engineer I need not say. Okay, so it's not to show off. Prompting is not to show that you have a great skill. It's not that. But to move faster in a world which is highly agile and growing at mind-boggling speed. So what is prompting? So it is a process of providing text and images. That's it. So prompting is a process of providing the text and images, and that is what you give it as an input. And eventually, what happens is you guide it and obtain a great response. So some questions were there whether AI will be replacing humans. So this single definition gives an idea of whether it will replace or not, because you need to give an input and you need to guide it and get a high quality response. So you can relate it to the AI bubble or whatever it is. In one sentence, we can say people who are intelligent and who know what is going to happen in next 2 or 3 decades, they cannot be replaced. Of course, some mundane, repetitive jobs will be replaced, but not the skilled people. So it is up to us to upskill. And here, provide some input and guide and get the response. So I was telling that 3 decades earlier, this prompting, it has already started. So I told AI is a magic lamp. Whatever you ask, it will give you. So you can consider it as a highly intelligent, but it will give you some unexpected, foolish results. So that live example was shown in this movie. He used to order to the genie, "Get me, I'm feeling hungry. Get me one chicken and roti." So it will give the real chicken. Then he'll reprompt it. So he'll guide it and say, "I want cooked chicken." So that was the very first prompt that went wrong, in my opinion, which is a famous movie, and it's a very famous scene, I would say. And I wanted to explain why we should prompt. So once we know why we should prompt, how to prompt will automatically come into the picture. So we need not learn. Of course, we should see some examples, but we should know the why factor. So we should understand why we are appearing for exams. It's not for marks, it's for skills. So similarly, you should look beyond things and understand the why factor. So why we are going for prompting? You have to understand two variety of tasks, which are very important to understand why we go for prompting. And before that, you have to understand two words. One is satisficing and another one is obsession. So satisficing is very simple. You have to stop when it is good enough. And next, obsessed in the sense something which is running your mind all the time. For example, your friend is calling for a outing. Okay, he's saying, "Come to the shop. We'll go for some small walk." You're saying, "Sorry, I'm totally obsessed with my February 9th assessment exam, so I'm not going to come." So something which is haunting your mind, continuously running in your mind, that is called obsession. So two words you have to remember, and you stop whenever it is good, and obsession in the sense something which is going in your mind, you can consider it as your dream. Okay, you want to achieve something unimaginable, something stunning, then we call it as obsessed. Okay. So when do we use AI? There are two scenarios. One is zone of laziness, the another one is zone of obsession. So what is this zone of laziness? Whenever you do some task, understand in the sense of monetary benefits, you get some money. For example, you understand it in that sense. Okay, you do some task, you get some reward or money. Okay, you do something, you increase the work. Okay, then you get more money. Okay, for example, if it is a eatery, okay, you consider your friend is having an eatery in the highway. Okay, he opens a shop for 10 hours, say he earns 1,000 rupees per hour. He'll earn for 10 hours 10,000 rupees. Okay, if he's opening it for 24 hours, 24,000, that is the ceiling. After that, there is no increase. Do you understand? So, likewise, it gradually rises for the effort. How much effort you put, it increases. But after some time, you don't get any output, or there's a cap, there's a limit. Okay, so there is a zone of diminishing returns. Okay, such a scenario is called zone of laziness, and there is something which is called as zone of obsession. Okay, am I audible? Okay. There is something called as zone of obsession, wherein the more number of efforts you put, the more the monetary results. Okay, you work more, you earn more. Okay, such a thing is called as zone of obsession. So where we are going to delegate our works is in the zone of laziness. Okay, it is interesting that 80% of our day-to-day works are laziness. Okay, zone of comes under the zone of laziness, and we are going to give the task to AI. You will say do this work and get it in the best way. Okay, and we will completely put our mind into the zone of obsession, our dream, our mission. Okay, or you can say the goal of pursuing the education right from LKG to graduation. So that dream, so that mindset, we'll focus on zone of obsession, which cannot happen without human intervention. Okay, AI cannot come and do wonders over there. Okay, to begin with, there is a protocol. Okay, so there is a framework called as draft, wherein initially you start with a blank page. Okay, you write something which is, as it is shown, crappy, which has no meaning at all. Okay, but instead of a blank paper, you are just simply starting with something. Okay, it can be like a leave letter. Okay, you ask AI, give me a leave letter. Okay, in the sense, when I say AI, it can be Copilot, it can be Gemini, it can be Chat GPT, whatever it is. Okay, I don't advocate you people to use Google anymore. Okay, don't Google for answers. I don't want you to Google and get answers. Okay, am I audible? Okay, so is there an issue? Okay, so what we are doing here is we are just starting with some draft work. Okay, I told an example of leave letter. Okay, you ask Copilot or Gemini or something. You want some. You want some draft letter. Okay, so it will give a letter written to the collector. Okay, dear collector, I am not feeling well, so I need leave tomorrow. So you will, with the blank paper, it has given an answer to write to the collector, but you will edit it. You will write it to the class coordinator or to the principal. Likewise, okay, you get a rough idea of how we have to proceed. Okay, so the prompt will be is given here. See, so act. You will give the role, you will give the input and the task. Okay, so you understand, right? So what is prompting? You have to tell the role, you have to give input and you have to guide it. Otherwise, AI is nothing, it is dumb. Okay, that's why I tell, don't worry about AI if you upskill. Okay, I won't say those who are simply sitting, they will not have any danger. Definitely, they will have. Unless you upskill, there will be some danger. Okay, if you upskill, definitely you can earn, and the upcoming world is going to see more number of billionaires because of AI. Mark my words. Then the second step in the framework is research. Okay. You see the internet, lot of information. Google is pretty proud about it. See, I have poured in millions of answers in 2 seconds. Who is going to read all that? How somebody can understand all that results? So there is lot of information which we call as information overload. We need to condense that information. So we do research. Okay. So we ask AI, we take the support of AI and do a deep research and say, condense the required information. This is step 2. And the step 3 will be, in the framework, it will be to analyze. Okay. So we find some patterns. Okay. From unstructured data, we come into some structured form. Okay. So we do so many things like summarizing, reasoning, analyzing, etc. Got it? Then we have something called as repetitive and boring task, which is named as grunt work. Okay, you give that work to AI. Okay, something like translating, okay, cleaning the data, okay, imputing missing values, reformatting, all that. Some boring task you give to data, so you give to AI. You understand? So this is the framework generally, and it involves some 4 steps which we are going to see. And our focus, we have given some tasks to AI, but our focus and our thought will be fully involved into improving the zone of obsession. Got it? Your dream, you are going to establish. How we will establish? Human interaction, no AI. Okay, judgment, no AI. Decision making, no AI. Of course, you can take some support, but this at the capability of humans, and AI will definitely facilitate. Okay, and intuition. Okay, some guessing. Okay, so using that framework, we are going to establish some 4 parts. Okay, the first part is one-shot prompting. What you do is, as I already told, we give some input. Here we will give a simple input. Okay, for example, you give a outline on creativity. Okay, use this example or reference. Likewise, we'll give one small example. You got it? Why we are starting with one shot prompting is, you try it in any AI. You select one AI. For example, you are taking Copilot. Today you type which food is tasty. Okay. Tomorrow you type which food is tasty. Day after tomorrow you type which food is tasty. Every time there is 100% chance that it will give a different answer. Got it? So AI will give you some answer for the question. Okay, the only best way to tame it is you have to give the reference and you have to give input. Got it? So you cannot blame AI. It is modeled in such a way that you have to guide it. Hope you understand. Then from one shot prompting, you give some example. You understand, right? You should not give a generic question. You should not ask which food is tasty. Instead, you have to say, give me an outline of creativity and use this below example. Such a guidance you have to give. Then it will give some answer. Okay, as I told already, it will be absurd. It won't have any meaning. From there, you are going to build next level. Okay, which is called as few shot prompting. You add 3 more examples. Okay, initially you gave only one example. Now you add not specifically 3. You can add some handful of examples, which will add substance, style, and your tone. You will have a unique approach, or the task which requires, it will have something to do with. Okay, you add some inputs, more input, solid input. Okay, how will you do? You embed some links. Use this link. Go to this link, or you will say, these are my prior works. I have done so many tasks previously. You refer that task. Understood? So you will give some examples, more examples. You will attach some documents. Okay, then you will say, see, I have attached the 5 works of creativity. Use my tone, because tone in the sense not this one. my style. Okay, use my tone and make an essay on consistent effort. Consistent efforts, day on day, you keep repeating some task, which is the toughest job on earth for anyone. So after few short prompting, you come to stage 3. You start unearthing how the AI starts thinking. Okay, you are asking, you tell me how you start thinking like this. Okay, see, all know Dilbhai Ambani, you have seen his photograph. Okay, so how he became such a big person. Okay, from a petrol bunk. Okay, how did he grow big? He has the thought process. Most of the celebrities, right? They interview, right? How did you get this idea from? Where you got the trigger? Which was the motivation? Okay, similarly, you are asking, you are interviewing the AI. You are asking, you tell me the process. Okay, I don't want the answer. Don't rush to the answer. You ask it. How you arrive at this answer? Okay, you ask for step-by-step process. Okay, then you demand. The last two sentences are very important. You have to say, you carefully, slowly, diligently think step by step and show me the thinking process. You are demanding that. Okay, chain of thoughts. Okay, you are demanding. Then finally, what you do is you appoint a person. Okay, this is where you get the final result. For example, you are working on a case. For example, some what you call some law related issue. Okay, so you will appoint a lawyer, correct? So similarly, if you are having some money, you want to invest, okay, you will seek financial expert suggestion. So there are so many people. I have some thought-related issue, then I'll appoint a psychologist. Okay, I'll take support of psychologist. So you have to tell the AI, you take this role, okay, list all the factors which are involved in this, then identify the top 3 or top 10, summarize and make a gist of it or whatever it is. Okay, so this is how you go through the stages. Are you able to understand? So you don't get answers in one click. Okay, like Google, which is pouring millions of results and it is posting, see, I have given millions of answers in 10 seconds. No, what is going to do? Nothing. Okay, and hope you understand that you always have to lead the AI. Okay, it can be Copilot, Gemini, as what I said, it can be Claude or whatever it is. You may have your own popular DeepSeek or whatever it is, Perplexity. Okay, I want you all to have those apps in your mobile. Okay, we have some unnecessary or apps that occupy nothing but space. Okay, and it will occupy your brain, but it won't contribute. I recommend that you download some good apps related to AI. Okay, so you have to lead the AI. Got it? So you have to tell it how to proceed, what to do. Okay, you are the master. Got it? So one of the student has asked, will AI replace jobs? Definitely it will replace those who don't upskill. You have to be the mark at the master level. Okay, so there are two types of tasks basically. One is informative task and transformative tasks. For informative task, you will be removing the friction, and with AI you will reap the benefits. But for transformative tasks, you add some friction. For example, you want to modify the workflow because it's a very big project. You want to modify the workflow, you want to find an efficient way, then you'll add some friction. What if certain kind of conditions you'll put, and you'll make the task more challenging and more reasonable. Okay, so why you want to lead? If AI does all the work, then you lose your muscle. Okay, in space you don't use the muscle, and eventually people become thin and they lose 20% of the muscle. Understood? So use friction, you use your own brain, then you become stronger and you are healthier. Got it? So always use your thought, take the support of AI, and as I mentioned in the slide, use AI as a facilitator. Don't let it take you to places. Okay, you have to tell, you have to direct, take me there, do this task, give the reasoning, and you reap the benefit out of it. And it is always wise to ask. For example, you are preparing some topic like Newton's law or whatever it is, you are preparing on an electrical subject which is very hard for you, then you said you first read the topic from where you read. Always carry a book. Okay. Even in the era of AI, you have to carry a book, study a topic. Then, after you are somewhat confident about the topic, you ask AI. See, I have prepared on the topic of Newton's laws, or I have prepared on Faraday's laws, generator working principle, or whatever it is. Okay. Now, prepare 4 levels of questions. First at high school, college level, interview level, and a tough boss sort of questions. You have to ask AI. You have to ask it to frame questions and give the reasons for that. That is how you have to use AI. Okay, don't depend AI and make yourself dumb. Okay, actually AI is we are smarter than AI, definitely, and we ought to use AI as a facilitator. And we have so many guiding videos. 99% of you are prompting AI wrong, or get ahead of 99% of people how to prompt. See, it is almost like come to the coaching center, you will become the best batsman. It's nothing like that. Even the best batsman in cricket, or the best football athlete or the player, they practice day on every day. They don't skip a session. Okay, so when you consider AI as a skill and art, it has to be practiced over and again. Okay, it's nothing like you will become highly skilled in AI after attending my session or looking at these YouTube videos, or you pay $1,000 to attend the AI prompting class, and you don't think it will, the apple tree will grow and you'll get apples overnight. No, nothing of that sort. You need to keep practicing. It is a skill we have to hone. But there are some good YouTube videos offered by some people like Jeffs, who they definitely have a trap, clickbait, or whatever you call. Okay, they want to attract the viewers and click their videos. This is a perfect prompt. That's nothing like a perfect prompt. You can think and adjust it to the scenarios. Once you understand the why factor, you will come up with a perfect prompt and you can have a million views. Hope you understand what I mean. So this is a prompting as a is upcoming, and it's a long way to go. Hope you understand. So there is a video made by Mark Robert, how to design the best plane, which are very interesting. How he prompts, how he gets the design. See, you can use prompting for programming, web app, web design, whatnot. Okay, but when you seek medical suggestions and other things, you have to be careful. Okay. So when it comes to that Gemini helping him to earn lakhs of rupees, I mean Mark Robert for designing the plane, he has done so many engineering interesting stuff. Okay. So you can translate it as AI is helping him to earn lakh of rupees. Okay. And similarly, AI can help students to get the high marks and do support. Okay. I don't want you to fully rely on AI. It can support you to come up with super projects and patents, and definitely you can take the help of AI to get a wonderful job. Then there's an important caution. Hope you understand. For every prompt, every time you use, you are hitting some data center which is situated in another corner of the world. You are hitting Mother Earth. So I would request every one of you to be responsible, ethically also, and in the point of conserving energy, and be wise. Okay, we don't have time to search for something which doesn't have meaning, because AI will give you solutions for anything or everything, and hope we use it wisely, ethically. And coming to the next part of the topic, which I have chosen as paradox, because we are applying this AI for some task, but eventually we end up doing the other way around. Okay, so first we need to understand what is paradox. It is a situation where we go for something but end up doing something else. Okay, or it is surprising, totally surprising. So you see a man who is cutting the tree. Why is he cutting the tree? The answer may be surprising. He is cutting the tree to grow it better. So you can see the difference between two trees which was pruned. The cutting process named as pruning. So the tree which was pruned has grown twice as much as the tree which is growing naturally. Okay, so it's a paradox. Because why cut a tree? Because it has to grow. But if you cut, it grows. But this is a positive thing, but so many negative effects are there, which I want to discuss here in this paradox. In the year 1943, US was waging war on Germany, and so many planes were shot by Germans were ridiculous. They were so intelligent and they were fighting like anything. Uh, haven't they, if they have not thought of attacking Russia, we don't know what would have happened. So they were blasting off American planes. So all the generals sat together and they took the photographs of all the planes and they counted the number of bullets. Okay. So finally they counted and they decided, okay, where we have to add armor, where they had to increase the metal. Okay, if you increase the metal, what will happen? The plane speed will reduce, and automatically, eventually, more hit will be there. Okay, planes have to be as light as possible, but strong enough. Got it? So they made a finding how many red bullets are there. I mean, how many red dots are there? That many bullets were there in the plane. So they identified the weak spots and they wanted to add metal over there so that the planes will not get damaged. But you know what they happened? They have totally missed one important thing. They were counting the bullets only from the planes which returned to the airport or the place from where they took off from the ship or whatever it is. Okay, this was a startling revelation by one statistician. See, you cannot simply look at the numbers. Okay, you have to see, get the entire picture. So whenever you are designing a solution for a problem, you have to look at a holistic view. Okay, you cannot look just at the numbers. Okay, so they were looking only at the planes that returned, but there were so many planes that didn't return because they were hit on the engine and they were hit on the cockpit. So where has to be the concentration? Obviously, it has to be in the engines and the cockpit. Okay, so whenever you do some project, whenever you do some research, you have to be thoughtful. It should not affect anybody. You have to be mindful. It should be reasoning. Okay, and you have to do it with deep insight. Okay, don't please just look at numbers. Okay, so we have to proceed from uncertain beliefs and raw data to refine the beliefs. Okay, and one more classical example I want to show here. Uh, there is a statistician who was flying frequently, and he worked out the statistics that 1 in a lakh times, for example, if he's flying 1 lakh times in his lifetime, there's a danger that in one flight out of his entire life where he is flying 1 lakh times in his lifetime, there is a chance that in one flight there was a terrorist with a bomb. Okay, so being a statistician, he found that number is quite high. So he wanted to get rid of this. Okay, hope you understand the problem. Okay, so he was afraid that some co-passenger in the plane which he is flying, he is carrying a bomb. So he wanted to reduce the probability. Okay, so again, the problem is don't look at the numbers. That is the point I want to say. Okay, just imagine this example. You are traveling in a plane. You assume you are traveling in a plane, and Obama is also traveling in the plane. You understand, right? You go take a selfie. That's quite common, right? But is there a chance that two Obama are traveling in the same plane? It is something abstract, correct? So it won't happen, correct? So already one Obama traveling with us in the same plane itself has low probability. Two Obamas traveling in the same plane, it is almost impossible. So this statistician also made the same calculation, and what he did, no, what calculation he did, can you guess? Because he's looking only at math, right? Don't look at the numbers always. So he himself started carrying a bomb every time. He's traveling 1 lakh times, he's going to travel 1 lakh times in his life. So he himself started carrying a bomb in his hand. Because two bombs in the same flight, it is almost impossible. See, this is a highly it doesn't give any meaning. Hope you understand. So we always should not look at numbers alone. Okay. And I wanted to tell you, don't go for p hacking, which I didn't include in this slide, but I just wanted to mention. Please do carry out research in better and ethical way, and for the betterment of the society. And again, I wanted to stress you that domain knowledge is quite important. Domain knowledge is not superficial knowledge. You have to have an in-depth understanding of what problem you are solving. Okay, as a programmer, as a computer science student, or a computer background student, or whoever it may be, don't just go for only creating the app, just creating the design, web portal. Just please don't stop there. You first understand the problem. If you are supporting a lawyer, get to know what is there in the legal issue. If you are supporting a financial expert, you try to understand the market, how it works, how finance works. You get a grip of what is happening. Then you start developing the apps. Okay, you have to do something with common sense, not with just numbers. Okay, then final part, which I'll conclude it very fast because we are almost near the end, and we started late. So when it comes to programming, we have several names: coding, software, however, whatever comes in your mind when I say programming. So I would say the best day to learn coding or programming was yesterday, and the second best day is today. Okay, there is no age limit, nothing. Okay, be it 60 or 40, 30. So if it is that's the case, then what about youngsters? Okay, you cannot survive without coding. And I'm telling for sure, coding is not going to be job fetching act. Okay, coding will be done by AI. But if you don't know how to do coding, then the thing which I mentioned, the skilled person and the unskilled person. If you are skilled person, it means one of the feathers you carry in your cap is coding also. Okay, definitely AI is going to do the coding, but you should know how to do the programming, the logic and everything. You can understand it this way. You are buying a Tesla car, automatic car, autonomous car, so that you don't drive it. That is for the sake that you don't get tired. It doesn't mean that you should not learn to drive the car. Hope you get the point. Okay. So please do programming, but don't do it for us. Okay, I don't recommend it. Okay, sitting all night. No. Okay, just I'm telling for the beginners, not for those who are hardcore uh, coders. Okay, like eat, code, repeat. For those people, this is not the words I'm telling. Who has not ever coded or nothing. Okay, so just log in any one of these websites. Okay, even in your mobile you can log in. Okay, W3 schools or whatever it is. Okay, do it only for 5 minutes. You keep the clock. Okay, other things you can plan. If you are addicted to game or whatever it is. Okay, to begin with, just plan 5 minutes from today onwards. Immediately after the session, before 9 o'clock, I want you all who have never used any of this W3 schools or anything, just log in into it. You don't need to download any app. You can just log in into the Chrome and do this. Okay, go to W3 schools, do it for 5 minutes, and log out. Do whatever you want in your mobile. Okay, you see the transformation after 6 months or 7 months or 1 year, you would have transformed into a butterfly. Okay, so some people might be hardcore programmers. You go for lead code. Okay, you aim higher. Okay, that is also welcome. Okay, you have to be like a night owl. Okay, when the entire city is full of lights but still sleeping, you have to be in a room. You will become one such person. Start with just 5 minutes a day. You believe me, consistency pays off. Okay, discipline. Okay, how do you learn a language? You speak, learn it. It can be English or whatever it is. Okay, you don't go for grammar. It is required. I don't say. I would say rather start trying. Okay, grammar is of course it's underlying foundation. Okay, you practice it. You start. You find somebody. You take an app or you use AI. Start speaking. Okay, practice. Similarly, programming language, do it, learn it. Okay, don't just simply keep practicing on paper. Okay, do it. Okay, and then comes this all this clickbaits or some scammers or whatever you name them. Okay, get ahead of 99% programmers with this one logic. Okay, then you go through all this stuff. Got it? So there are so many videos like this, and there were some questions like, "What is an MNC looking for?" All that. So generally, they want people who can guesstimate. Okay, one example I will give: how many tennis ball can be filled inside a Boeing 747? So such a sort of student might find it awkward or irrelevant, but questions will be like this. Or if you are put at a 1 inch size inside a mixie, would you survive a 3000 RPM mixie? This question will be for a CSE student or some triple student. It doesn't matter. They'll ask some random questions, but there is some logic in it. Okay, the question might sound irrelevant or nonsense. Okay, but you should know the guess. Okay, it should have some math behind it. Okay, so you should not get confused, sir. Previously, you said you should not think about math. See, math is required, but with common sense. Okay, so you should know some guesswork and you should know some calculation. So math is inevitable. Okay, math I will compare it to swimming. Okay, if you don't know swimming, you will drown. Okay, if you don't know math, you are not going to survive. But if you learn to swim, if you learn to work with maths, you will enjoy it. Okay, once you learn swimming, it will be a sport. Once you learn math, it will be like amazing. Okay, start practicing today. Okay, there are plenty full of exercises and apps, so many things. Okay, so calculation, mathematics is must. Okay, and a mix of guesswork. That is what MNCs look for, and they want street smart people or street wise people. Wise, WISE. It means they want people who can accomplish a task even at the cost of some difficulties, etc. Okay, so that is what MNCs look for. You have plentiful of resources, some interview questions which definitely look so absurd, nonsense, doesn't make meaning, irrelevant, but that is how MNCs look. Okay, and I thank one and all for your patient listening. So don't forget, if you want to climb the mountain, you need left and right. So left is your programming skills, and right, you don't miss the AI tools. 80% of the repetitive tasks, you assign it to it. Focus on your obsession. So I would again recommend you to prompt, avoid paradox, and program for engineering excellence. Thank you, one and all.
Very interactive and very informative session, sir. On behalf of Indian, that is IHE, I would like to thank you very much. Especially, this session was very much helpful for all the engineers, professors, academicians, as well as industry personnel, sir. So we would like to have further more session on this, sir, because nowadays, as we all know, we are in the AI world, sir. So each and every person around us, we are in the paradigm of this new gen, next gen education, sir. So we need to know about all these things in the days to come, sir. So we would like to have further detailed session on this in the days to come, sir. And also, along with our management of International House of Education, especially our founder, director, chairman, and all the office bearers of International House of Education, we would like to have a workshop, sir. One day workshop we can have, so that the hands-on session we can conduct, especially related to the prompt engineering and the way forward, how we can take for the educationists and academicians. So all these things we can further have a very fruitful session, sir. So thank you very much, sir. And any questions, participants? Dear participants, do you have any questions? You can post in the chat bot so that sir will answer your questions. Admin, kindly check for those who have raised their hands. Please turn on your camera. We will have a group photo.